Have you or a loved one ever suffered from cluttered shelves or disorganized games, not being able to find the one that you could have sworn you put back in its spot, but is now completely gone? Well, you may be entitled to compensation in today's episode of Totally Bored here on Nerd In. Hello and welcome, my fellow nerds. Thank you for joining us once again, or if you're brand new here, thank you so much for stopping by. I am Christian, and I'll be your host for the evening, and tonight, we're going to talk about how to organize your game shelves. And here we are, yes, in a different shirt, different mic, different setup. Just ignore that. You guys are actually propped up on my Kelt playmat right now, but that's beside the point. We are here at the shelves, and I'm going to go over how I organize mine. But before we do that, I want to present to you some other ideas that I've seen other people in the community use for organizing. And the first one is alphabetical. This one is kind of not my cup of tea. I know there's a lot of people that would like alphabetical just for easy access, knowing exactly where a game should go and not really having to worry about it. You just look at the letters and you put it in that place. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's your cup of tea, go for it. I've also seen people go by theme or mechanism, trying to group different things together. So if you get a bunch of space games, you keep those in one section. You get a bunch of aquatic themes, you keep those together. Things like that, that's not too bad. Or if you go by mechanism, you can have a section for trick taking, section for worker placement, for all of those different mechanisms, just to kind of keep things separate. But you're going to have like gray areas that overlap, where you get something like Lost Ruins of Arnak here. You get something like this, and well, you have hand management, you have worker placement, you have deck building, that all kind of goes together. And so this one might be, some things like this might be a little bit harder to categorize, but it ultimately depends on what you have in your collection and what's going to work best for you. I also see some people organized by box size, especially when they're on the Calyxes. They'll tend to group bigger boxes together and then have separate spaces for all of their small box stuff. I have a different system for my small box stuff. The way that I like to organize my shelves, and I'm going to pick you up in just a second and take you through this all by hand, but I organize these shelves like a living tier list. So I always know which games are my favorite and which games I don't prefer, and it's easy for other people to look at it at a glance and be like, okay, well, I know what you like, so that's easier to kind of go along with that and pick games, I guess, from there. A lot of people don't agree with my takes, and that's totally fine. These are my shelves, so I can enjoy the tier list that I want, and I kind of applied the liquor store method, if you will. My cat's batting the camera from behind. Sorry about that. This is on a cat tree, so there's that. But I implore the liquor store method. So the top shelf games are on the top shelf because they are the best quality. So let me pull off the camera here, and we're going to go through this. I have my lav mic on, so you guys will still be able to hear me. But this is how I organize my shelves. So if you look up here, you'll recognize a lot of these games from the top 10 list that I just had come out a couple weeks ago, if you've already seen that. And that's because this is my top 10. Now, there is one little exception there at the end, but I did let my wife have some executive decisions on these shelves because she is probably the one that plays games with me the second most at this point. I'm not really going to dig too deep into that, but I do play a lot of games with her. So, of course, when she gets a game that she's very excited about, I'm going to let her pick where it goes. So this is the one exception to the top 10. That is the number 11 is Herd Mentality because she loves cows. So that's why that's up there. But you'll notice that pretty much all of my top 10 games are up here. There is a couple of modifications. And again, that's because this is a living tier list. So this is going to adjust all the time. I'm going to have moments of clarity where I'm like, okay, this game is better. It does deserve to be up on that tier. So this is my S tier shelf. There's only ever going to be 10 of my games up here because I want to have a constant top 10 list. And I think it's fitting that only 10 games will ever make it into my S tier. Next up, we have the A tiers down here. My most recent addition is Lacuna. Fantastic game. You'll see already here the sleigh got moved down. But these are the games that I like, and again, another executive decision by the wife. We just got this, is Villain's Labyrinth. Not a bad game, but she really liked it, so I threw it in the A tier for her. Yeah, you'll see Lost Ruins of Arnak has finally moved some. That will come in a later video as to why that happened. And this is the B tier. These are games that we still really love and still do play. But a lot of the times, these other games will kind of take a space on the table over these. But again, we do still love them, and they do still get play. Canvas probably should go back on the wall, but it can live here for now, just so I don't forget that it is a board game and it is playable. Next up is the C tier list. Just looking at this, people are already going to be mad at me for it. I can tell. There's 2 games on here that people are not going to be happy with, but... so these are the games that really don't see much play at all, but we can't justify getting rid of them from our collection. Wingspan is maybe the one that I might actually get rid of, but overall, these are games that practically never see play, but they do occasionally, so we keep them around. But they're pretty close to the bottom, but there is games we have that are even worse than that, and that is on the F tier shelf. Yeah, party games. I am not a party game guy. You'll see Floats with Ghosts is down here as well. The wife does enjoy it, but not enough to fight me on this one, so I was able to put it down here. Thank God, because I do not like that game at all. I'm sorry. And, of course, we also have classics like Clue and Trivial Pursuit. If there was any space lower to put them, that is exactly where they would be going, but the wife likes them, so they stick around up here, unfortunately. Then, of course, we have our extra accessories, the dice tower that my wife made by hand, a bunch of dice tray, Moncala as well, forgot about that, and then that shot glass game. But, yeah, that is how I organize my shelves. Now that I think about it, there is actually one space lower that those 2 games could go. Let me show you that real quick. I'll be right back. So we are now in the basement. This place does not have my lighting set up, so please excuse that. But this is where all of the reject games go. Let me show you this. So I have pretty much all of our classic games are down here because, well, those 2, ignore those 2 for now. But all of our classic games are down here because, well, I mean, we grew up on them. I have absolutely played them to death, and I don't really find any more enjoyment out of them. They feel too samey game to game, and it's not a thing that I enjoy. So, yeah, we're not playing that. They sit down here in case we ever do get the random temptation or the urge, but it's very rare nowadays. Now, these 2 at the end here are... yeah, these are regret purchases. I got them, and, well, as you can see, the Munchkin one's never been opened. That's mostly a player count issue and just lack of interest issue. And then we've gotten other games that are somewhat similar to it, so we just haven't bothered. Welcome to the Moon. I wanted to like it. I got it because it was space-themed. It was about going to the moon. I was like, oh, that's sick. And it kind of presented itself as a campaign game, and it kind of is, but it's a flip and right game, and I'm not a flip and right fan. I'm not an X and right fan at all, and this was the game that helped me find that out. Now, you saw House of Cats upstairs. That one is because of theme, because of cats. My wife loves it, but yeah, I'm not an X and right fan, so those are down here. And then our bigger shelf of shame, so we have Skyrim and Arkham Horror. To people that like Arkham Horror, I'm sorry. I'm getting rid of that game. It's absolutely not going to stay in my collection. I have set it up like 5 times. I've tried to play at least 3 of those, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it. It was too much, and there was no enjoying it for me. So I'm going to be getting rid of that one. I haven't figured out if I'm going to sell it or if I'm going to donate it yet or what's going to happen with it, but I am not keeping it. That is not sticking in my collection. Skyrim is... I got a little in over my head on that one. I bought it because of the IP at the time that I was buying for theme, and it's just too heavy of a game. I might go back and revisit it now that I have more experience with board games. I might be able to get through it now, but it was just such a grueling experience when I first tried it out that I gave up on it pretty quick, and it hasn't seen my table since. I think the first time that I set it up, it took me like 3 hours to get it set up and maybe start figuring out some of the rules, but it is by no means an easy game. So I don't know if I'm going to return to that. I might give it one more shot and then see from there, but it lives on my shelf of shame for now. So, yeah. Alright, so we're back here now. I could have put you back at the table with the tripod, but that sounded like a lot of work. So we're back in front of my collection, and that is how I organize all of my games. And as you can tell, there was still plenty of empty space on these shelves. I know it's not a Kallax. I know people might be upset that I have all of these games standing up, but if they weren't meant to be standing up, why do they design them with the intent to stand up like that? I mean, you can't blame me for this. They literally designed it to do this. So I'm sorry, I'm doing it because it's just the most space efficient for the shelves that I have. I already had these shelves on hand and I was able to repurpose it because I wasn't using it for what I had it for before. So I was able to turn it into my board game shelves, so I don't have a Kallax, I don't have the 2x4 cubes from Walmart or anything like that. I have wire metal shelves, and honestly, I'm not mad about it because these are all adjustable, so if I need bigger heights, I can shift them around and make it work however I need to. Luckily, Ostia ended up in my top 10, so it gets to be on the top shelf and not be burdened by that, but at least I know I have the flexibility to change that around if I need to, and it fits everything nicely. I still have enough room for like 5 more games, so this will be filled up by the end of the year. But that notwithstanding, I'm still having a great time enjoying all these, and I might even be moving some stuff from the F tier down to the basement with the rest of it, now that you've seen the ultimate shelf of shame that I own with all the classics and the couple of modern games that just don't get played in my house at all. No one has any interest in them, at least on the C tier. Some of those still have a little bit of interest to them. Like, every now and then, I'll still pop out a game of Night of the Living Dead on my own because I love the theme, and the gameplay is actually pretty good to it. Or, you know, sometimes I'll be in a little bit of a whiny mood, so I'll pop out a game of Viticulture. You know, the C tier is basically games that exclusively I play, or, like, maybe I can get one other person to play, and it's an alright time. But we get through it and we're like, well, kind of wish we played one of the other games. You know, we play the C tier out of pity. The F tier just never gets played. Those are the rejects. We know that they're not getting played. I guess Cards Against Humanity is the one exception, but that's because of our non-gamer friends that love it. And I'm not a party game guy. I liked Cards Against Humanity for a while, but it got to be too much. And I'm sorry, my cat's shaking the cat tree that you're standing on. I forgot to show you this. This is the setup that I had y'all on. You were just propped up here. The lens on top of the Celt playmat pointed at me. There's the shelves. So, yeah, there's a good distance kept between for safety reasons. But, yeah. There she goes. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for you for this video. Let me know what you think down in the comments. If you have any suggestions on how to organize your shelves or different methods for how you do it, let me know down there as well. I'm very curious to see how you guys do this. I am in a couple of Discords, and I've been kind of sticking around and seeing people talk about organizing shelves, and I thought it was just an interesting topic, so I thought I'd show off the way that I do it, because I really like this system, having a living tier list that feels like it's constantly moving and shifting and changing all the time. It's just such a fun experience. It adds a little more game to my gaming experience, which I just like. If I could find a way to add any sort of gamified expressions into anything, I'm gonna take those chances. So, anyways, guys, thank you again so much for tuning in today. We will see you all in the next video. As always, we hope you enjoy your stay, and we'll catch you next time. Peace out.